A warm welcome to the Find Your Fire tribe as we start another exciting, chi-uplifting Fire Friday session. For those of you who are watching this for the first time, I am Wendy Yoching, founder of Healing Spaces Caribbean and known as the tribe mom of the Find Your Fire tribe. And with me today, we have the fascinating, intriguing, and lovely Dr. Rashmi Chury. Did I say that right? Yes. Who is talking to us from the UK, and her specialty is quite intriguing to me because she started life as a dentist and transformed into a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist. And now today she's going to share with us how her journey has given her this unique skill set to help other people smile from the inside out. Welcome, Rashmi Chury. Thank you for joining the Fire Tribe. I am so honored that you decided to join us.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored and overjoyed to be here. Yeah, it's an absolute privilege. So thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, and I've been a keen fan in your tribe since last year.
I would like to start from the beginning. Rashmi, tell us a little bit about you, where you were born and where you are now, so we get a little bit of a framework. I have to ask everyone who's listening for the live or the replay to forgive my throat, because as you know, in the tribe, I've been recovering from the bug and it's left me with a lingering cough. So I'll do my best. Just forgive me for the occasional interruptions. So tell us where you started and where you are now. Give us a little framework for what we're going to discuss.
Right. Well, geographically, I'm where I started off. I was born and raised in Manchester, the great city of Manchester in the UK. I'm the eldest daughter of 3 and born to 2 wonderful parents who immigrated from India. And yeah, so I was instilled with very traditional values, brought up in quite a strict background. And stayed in Manchester all these years because it felt, well, it's my home and it's a wonderful place to be. I am going to sound like an ambassador for Manchester. Anybody who knows me will know I'm very, very proud. And we have a saying of Mancunians saying that we're proud Mancunians. We have such a rich history in this country of so many things, ranging from the Industrial Revolution to the birthplace of the computer, to actually where the word hypnosis even originated from. And it's the home where the suffragette movement started back in the day to allow women the right to vote. So
I have to ask you right now, what is it they feed you guys there? What's in the water? Something special.
We have 20, apparently I read this today, we have 25 Nobel Prize winners, all from Manchester as well. So there must be something.
Okay, sorry I interrupted, go ahead.
No, that's it. So yes, what else do you want to know about me?
Well, what made you choose dentistry? Was that a normal direction for someone in your family? Was that some, were your family members pushing you towards one of the medical professions, or did you have this passion for dentistry as a little girl? What made you choose dentistry? Because it is a challenging job, correct?
Oh yes, very much so. If I'm completely honest, I think back in the day, I was a child of the generation that many Asians would traditionally go into certain fields such as medicine and accountancy or pharmacy. Those were really popular choices at that time. And I was very interested in a lot of subjects, always have been, to be honest. I think this is part of my entrepreneurial spirit as well, because as entrepreneurs, we have to learn so much. So I had that naturally in me. And I used to find it a bit difficult, actually, when it came to choosing what subjects to focus on. But I always had a love of understanding how the body worked. I was absolutely fascinated by how the mind worked also. I was really intrigued by psychology also. And it was just knowing what made people tick. And I also had an aunt who came to stay with us. She came from India, and I was very young at the time, probably about 10 maybe. And I remember that she she had her books with her. And I was just rifling through these and just mesmerized. Mesmerized is the operative word here now. But I was mesmerized at that time with these pictures of people who had various things that were wrong with them. But it actually made me also think what a miracle life is, that we are born in the first place, and how our bodies can function without all these things going wrong. And it was
at age 10.
wonderful to know how you could make it better.
At age 10.
Yes, around age 10, I just knew that. So I knew I wanted to, I had this in me that I think I knew that I was going to be a healer. And I just loved the idea of medicine. I was also into herbal medicine as well, very young age, love gardening, plants. And I'd seen suffering from an early age already. Being born to Indian parents, we didn't have any family in England. And so all the family were back, as they would say, back home in India. So I was really lucky to be taken over there with my sisters as well. From time to time, we used to take it in turns that we could go over and visit family. And also, as a result of that, I saw how lucky we were, but also how there was such absolute poverty there, and it would live hand in hand. You just walk down the street and there would be people begging, and I actually saw a young child. This actually scarred me, really. I was hardly 7 when I saw this young girl who was about my age, and she'd been mutilated and left to beg in the streets. And now, since the film Slumdog Millionaire had come out, I think everybody else sort of understood more, because it was a shame, obviously, for the country to have these things, but that was commonplace if you went there as well. So I was absolutely just, I just thought, how could this happen? How could this child be left to be in this situation? My parents dragged me away very quickly, saying, don't let go of our hands, otherwise somebody might steal you. And that's what would happen, that these children, these poor children would, would be stolen, and this kind of fate would happen. So I knew from a young age that I wanted to help the vulnerable and the poor in society. And I especially had this heartfelt, I was drawn to helping orphans, the most vulnerable. Oh, you're on silent.
What got you from that overall feeling to dentistry, which is very specific? What's the draw for dentistry?
Yeah, well, it was about making people smile, ultimately, I think. Medicine was very, very competitive, but also I remember my aunt being a doctor. She was saying to my mum when she'd come over, don't encourage her to be a doctor because of the years of training that it takes. And it's easier to be a dentist. So I think I was a little bit channeled in that way. Yeah.
But why not? Why not?
It was a decent job back in the day, when I first started, but it was incredibly difficult as well. And I studied very, very hard to get where I am. In fact, I loved the subject so much that I ended up doing my degree twice because I failed my exams, because I had untreated anemia.
Oh my
so
God.
I struggled a lot with concentration and with my own sleep issues, and I was always working extra hard. So I value exactly where I am now. So dentistry helped me to help other people to smile. I could see how people were affected psychologically if their teeth weren't right. First of all, it's as simple as not being able to smile, but they're in pain, and it just changes the whole personality of a person.
It's almost a thing like dental pain. It turns everything else into,
you can't function. You can't function. Anything. They say childbirth is the worst pain, and to man, the worst known pain is dental pain, because they can't have kids, obviously. So and I've seen grown men crying with the pain. So it was. I feel lucky that I can do something about it.
Now, Rashmi, there was a story you told me about dentistry in Cambodia, and I'd like you just to give us a little summary of that, because that is something that also shaped your future. So if you could tell us that, and I'd like to welcome Janelle and welcome the people who are watching us on Facebook. Those of you on Facebook who have questions for Rashmi, please feel free to write them in the chat. I'll check in and out, and I will run your questions by her when she's ready for questions. Okay, so yes, could you tell us a little bit about that experience when you were doing dentistry in the prison system?
Oh gosh, yes.
And what year was that as well?
Yeah, I just go back one step before then as well, because when I was studying doing dentistry, I won an award so that I could do my elective, and I went back to Mumbai and I actually helped in an orphanage as well. So I designed my own dental survey. So I already had it that I wanted to carry on doing charity work, really helping the children as much as possible. This was in 2015. I was introduced to a dental charity called Dentaid, and they did amazing work all around the world. They didn't have as many sites then as they do now, and Cambodia was one of the main trips that they used to do. And it just completely pulled me again, because for me it was like a spiritual pilgrimage because of the Hindu temples there. So I wanted to go for that reason, but also because it's one of the poorest countries in the world, and they have such a devastating history. I don't know how much our viewers know, but in the 70s, they 25% of their population was decimated by evil dictator Pol Pot. So I was too young to know about that really when I was growing up. But when I went over there, I learned a lot and saw how much the population had suffered. And they actually haven't even come to terms with all the trauma yet. So that's coming to light. So we went over, I'd fundraised for a year, so I was quite committed to this. And with the help of friends and family, they all pitched in, and I was baking cakes and doing charity runs, which that's not really me. I'm not that fitness freak really. But I did it. And yeah, I was lucky to go over with the team. There was only 2 dentists, myself and the team leader. And we had some dental nurses and hygienists with us as well. So the task lay on me mostly to do the extractions. And yeah, a lot of these people hadn't had dental treatment for a long time. In the prison service, actually, it'd been 3 years since any charity work had been done. So they were suffering as long as that. And I learned in other areas, people were suffering with pain for like 9 years or so, which is, we just said how excruciating it is. So I don't know how they coped really. So we had a lot of work cut out for us, obviously. And we treated the inmates as well as the actual staff as well. And although we learned a few words in Cambodian, actually. So we did communicate a little bit, but there are universal languages, which is non-verbal communication. And we were all an empathetic bunch to go out there in the first place. So we learned some stories about how these poor people were in prison, and they were in for reasons as trivial as stealing a chicken because they were just too poor to feed their family. And then they'd be left in these prisons for 18 months, 2 years, with their children in there as well, because if they didn't have any family, then the children automatically would go in the prison as well. So it was really horrific to hear all this. To be honest, the heart went out, and that's why I feel I just want to go back out there. I want to help. And it takes so much work, and it's not cheap to do charity work either, but there's so many people in the world suffering. And we know now since COVID, even in this country as well, there are a lot of people who are denied dental services also. So this is the reason why I became a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
Well, connect the dots for us. Tell us what led you from dentistry to hypnotherapy and psychotherapy.
Yeah, well, as I was working as a dentist, I realized what a stressful profession this is. And I was studying for postgraduate studies, as is the way, and life happened as well. I lost my father along the way, and he was my best friend. So it still affects me. I do everything in his memory, really, because he was such a guide to me, and I learned so much. He was very forward thinking, full of wisdom, and he would love what I'm doing now, I know. But yes, I went through quite a journey of grief, suffering trauma. I went through multiple car accidents, which weren't my fault. And so I know that I'm here on this earth to be doing something. And so I've learned the lesson eventually, after 6 accidents, I think, that I've got to do something, and it became a turning point in my life. So I was managing stress. I also got some stress-related conditions. Some of them were chronic pain related as well. And yeah, stress does awful things to the body. We know it's a silent killer. So it's so crucial to get the stress levels under control. And you'll know this, Wendy, I know you're a superstar with this. So I learned the skills of medical hypnosis for myself, primarily, first of all, and also to help my family members and also colleagues. There was a dental nurse at work. We were short-staffed that day, and she had excruciating pain and was going to leave that day. But if we did, then I would have had to cancel 30 patients of my list that day. So I ended up doing some hypnosis for her and managed to calm her pain levels from 8 out of 10 down to 2 out of 10. So she could stay for the rest of the day. So I saw the power of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. It was just wonderful. But it wasn't until lockdown happened that I felt this is the time that I'm ready now. I had just lost my job in dentistry because of the world just turning upside down. Dentists weren't needed at that point, and it was such a dangerous job also. And I had this calling. I just knew in my heart that I'm meant to serve the frontline healthcare workers, and I'm going to be ready. I knew that I'm going to be ready by the time that I'm qualified with the extra skills to help other people with PTSD, anxiety, depression, all sorts of trauma, phobias, quitting smoking, drugs, alcohol. And I was doing that through my training through COVID. So I helped my case studies, who some of them were friends, some of them were children, adult children of friends who were waiting for mental health services, and they were feeling suicidal because the services were so stretched. The waiting list was so long. So I felt this was helping me to keep myself calm, to be honest, because doing the training of the hypnotherapy, we had to do exchanges between colleagues. And I just always felt so much more relaxed. And I was grateful because I live on my own and I didn't have a great support bubble around me. So my friends were mostly online. And I was, yeah, this is my saving grace, really. So I was very grateful. And part of the training, as an additional training, was to become a psychotherapist. Not everyone who's a hypnotherapist becomes a psychotherapist, but I wanted to do that extra level, really, and start my own business. So
I could understand the connection, why it's a good thing to have the psychotherapy connected to the hypnotherapy. They support each other. So I see that makes a really good package. And what I'm getting, Rashmi, is that you started this particular part of your life journey because of COVID, in response to what you saw as the needs of the frontline workers and their humanity being challenged by the stress of COVID, correct?
Yes, it felt like it just fell into place, really. I knew that I was always here to help people. I was born to help people, a natural empath since childhood. I didn't know what the word empath was, but I always knew that I was very, very sensitive and I could pick up on other people's emotions. I even had, I know this will be a bit woo-woo for some people, but I think I'm in the right environment for this too. I did have psychic connections and telepathy with my own dad when he was alive, so much to the degree that when I told him, he just burst into tears. I was on the other side of the world doing interrailing in the 90s when I just woke up in tears, and something had happened, but we didn't have telephones back in those. We couldn't just we didn't have mobiles, we didn't have the internet, did we? Show my age. But yeah, I came back and I told him, and it was literally to the day that he was going for an appointment about his heart, and he did not want to tell me because he knew that I wouldn't have gone for a month otherwise. So we knew we had, you know, this kind of connection already.
Rashmi, I need to interrupt you for a moment. Arlene says on Facebook, what a beautiful calling. So I wanted to let you know that before we went too much further. And Margaret wrote in the chat, it sounds like you were guided along the way, and it may well be your dad was guiding you too.
I believe this. I do truly believe this. Yeah, I'm very spiritual. And I think, you know, I was born Hindu, and there are aspects of Hinduism that I do relate to. I don't believe all of it, but there are some wonderful stories in there, and, you know, they do help us and guide us in life too. But spirituality has been much more powerful for me because it's learning from my own life experiences. And that's why I think I relate to a lot of other people who are like this too. Teaches a lot about life. So yes, definitely guided.
Now, Rashmi, tell me, what are you doing now with that very unique skill set that you have, that I doubt very many people in the world have? Probably you're the only one. What are you doing now to help people smile from the inside out? Let us know what you're up to.
Do you know what? First of all, I have to say thank you to Dean and Tony. You know, if they listen to this at any point, because the journey just shot exponentially as soon as I joined KBB. I did Project Next in a month, and I know they're doing the Thrive edition now. You see on the front here a long name. my business is Rashmi Hypnotherapy, and I'm in the process of creating a course called Prime Your Mind for Success. And it's geared towards the healthcare professionals, the frontline workers, but also anybody else in need. I'm creating a survival to thrival package. And so starting off with insomnia, and I just ran my first ever sleep event just a few weeks ago. And
it's a sleep event.
Sleep event, yeah. Well, okay. Insomnia affects about 50% of the world's population. And without going into a great deal of information here, but you know, I am going to run it again, so you can join. There are such serious consequences of not getting enough sleep, not enough good quality sleep as well, which actually I'll tell you a little bit. It can affect us, ranging from obviously tiredness, waking up feeling brain foggy and exhausted, but also serious things such as, and now this is all scientifically proven, there are links with heart disease, type 2 diabetes, strokes, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, not to mention, and this is where it really hit me because I thought, oh, this is a bit too close to the bone, but road traffic accidents. So you could lose your life like that. You know, it can, yeah, lack of sleep can affect us in many ways. So that's why it's so crucial. And I feel really passionate again about this. You can tell I'm quite a passionate person. If we can save somebody's life from something as simple as just getting 8 hours good quality sleep, not to mention just the burden on the health services, which, you know, we know how stretched these are worldwide. You know, people are terrified since COVID as well. In dentistry, we've lost 2,000 dentists in our profession in the UK here alone, because things are so stressful. People are suffering with lack of sleep, with stress, with burnout. And these are the three main areas that I want to focus on in my package. So I'm doing it now.
And you also mentioned to me when we were chatting, people with fibromyalgia could be helped by what you do. Give us a little bit more on that.
Yes, well, as part of my training, I attend quite a lot of lectures as well. I'm actually a part-time tutor teaching medical hypnosis to health professionals, and I'm a member of the British Society of Clinical and Academic Hypnosis. So we hear speakers from all around the world. I actually organised a talk about grief, which was, I hosted the talk and I had four speakers from around the world talking about that subject alone. We do have lectures about pain, acute as well as chronic pain, so fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis. These conditions have been well documented to be treated by hypnotherapy. So yeah, if anybody's suffering from these things, then it can be managed. You know, there'll be other factors at play, and we would always suggest, you know, you need to see a medical professional. But the pain can be managed. So as I mentioned before, like with my nurse who had the wisdom tooth pain, that's what it was in the end, wisdom tooth pain, managed to calm it right down. And that was after 10 minutes of hypnosis I did on her. She was a very good subject. So it's down to the rapport, you know, how well you feel that you get on with your therapist. And always make sure that they're licensed as well, because there are people out there, it's an unregulated profession. So it's very important to see somebody's qualified properly. But yes, it can help. It can help.
May I ask if you have any events coming up soon that the tribe should know about?
Oh, yes, indeed. As I said, I've just done my sleep event, which was the premiere. And it's not just health professionals that I want to help, you know. It would be very mean of me just to say that's the only type of person that I'm going to help. I can't do that. It's born in me that, you know, if I see somebody suffering, I have to help. So also as being an entrepreneur, now, you know, I feel very connected to this community, but, you know, anybody who's suffering can come along to my sleep event. If you're suffering with insomnia, you know, if you're finding it difficult to get to sleep, you're waking up in the middle of the night, or you're waking up exhausted, any of these criteria, especially if you've been suffering for 3 months or longer, you've tried everything else, doesn't work, please come along.
Well, when is it?
Well, that's the question. I'm going to set it very soon. So yeah, I think straight after this, I'm going to set the date.
Okay. And then I'll invite you to share it with the tribe. So,
oh yeah, yeah. And you can register interest with me. I will be collecting. If you want to send me a message on Messenger, or yeah, I'll collect emails as well. So I'll put you. I won't forget about you.
Fantastic. So I would like to ask if anybody has any questions for Dr. Rashmi Chury. And feel free to turn your cameras on so she can see you, Janelle and Maggie. Yes, and I'm checking the Facebook chat now to see if there's any questions. We just had some lovely comments, but no questions.
I hope I haven't just stunned everyone into silence there.
Any questions for her? Or shall we let her go? Okay, tell me. If anyone wants to connect with you, how can they reach you? Should they reach you through Rashmi Hypnotherapy, or how can they reach you?
Oh, primary mind. Well, okay, I will just give the quick differentiation, split the two, because Rashmi Hypnotherapy is my standard hypnotherapy services, and I have a special flyer listing all of those services, and also the website. Both of these are separate websites, so you can go on either of them. Just add a .com at the end. Primary Mind for Success is my pioneering hypnotherapeutic coaching service, which nobody else is doing, and I've invented the term in true Mancunian style. I had to do it for the women. I had to do it for Manchester.
It's a fantastic name. Okay, so on behalf of the tribe, I'd like to thank you. This was fascinating. I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for offering us your journey, sharing so honestly how, you know, what you have been doing, what you are doing, and what you plan to be doing. And I look forward to having more interaction with you, and hope, we got a big heart from Maggie. And we got hearts going on Facebook as well. But I look forward to more interaction with you. You can feel this, definitely talk to the tribe. And just personally, it's been a pleasure having this conversation. Oh, we got another heart from Terry.
I'm really touched.